life, astronomy, menstruation. These are all examples of cycles. Today, we are discussing the carbon cycle. The carbon cycle has 6 components: photosynthesis, respiration, exchange, sedimentation and burial, extraction, and combustion. Let's start with photosynthesis and respiration. Photosynthesis occurs in autotrophs when sunlight hits their chloroplasts. During this process, autotrophs absorb CO2 and store carbon in their tissues. When they die, some of the carbon is released back into the atmosphere as they decompose. Carbon can also make its way through a variety of terrestrial organisms. For example, when plants are consumed by animals, carbon is transferred to the animal or other heterotrophs through digestion and is then stored in their tissues. A whopping 500 gigatons of carbon are reserved in terrestrial organisms. The process of respiration also contributes to atmospheric carbon. Respiration in autotrophs and heterotrophs converts oxygen into carbon dioxide, and carbon is then released back into the atmosphere. The next step that occurs in the carbon cycle is an exchange of carbon between the atmosphere and oceans. Carbon leaves the oceans and enters the atmosphere when organisms undergo metabolic processes. Carbon also exits oceans through the process of evaporation. Carbon enters the ocean from the atmosphere when autotrophs in the water photosynthesize. The amount of carbon going in both directions roughly equal each other. The slowest step of the carbon cycle is sedimentation and burial, but it is also the largest pool of carbon in the cycle. Some of the carbon that enters the ocean from the atmosphere combines with calcium molecules, precipitates out of the water, and becomes rock. Rocks are a key part of the children's game: rock, paper, scissors. Burial is the integration of carbon from dead organisms into the sediments before it can decompose. This carbon is released in volcanic explosions to balance out the cycle. Extraction technically has no effect on the carbon cycle. It is the removal of carbon-containing fossil fuels from the ground for human use. Combustion is the burning of fossil fuels. It releases carbon into the atmosphere. It is the only abiotic process in the carbon cycle. Everything in the carbon cycle balances out without human intervention. Because of human intervention, though, the amount of carbon in the atmosphere is increasing. It causes the GW words. Shh. Global warming, which is, fun fact, considered a taboo subject in the Carolinas. Basically, the carbon cycle is the same as all of the other cycles in environmental science. It's fine on its own until humans come along and screw it up. We brought in Dr. Scientist B. Ridge to tell you more.
It's global warming. Humans.